It is Gen Con 51, and it is the first morning of the show. It's Thursday, and Julie Ahern from Greenbrier Games is actually my first interview of the show.
Woohoo! First one.
So, lots of stuff cooking with Greenbrier Games. So let's talk about, you had a release. It just came out last week, I believe. It's in retail stores now, and it is called Barbearian
Battlegrounds, that's right. So it was our direct to retail. So last Wednesday, it was in stores for the first time ever, and that was pretty exciting. I went to a game store on Friday, and we played all night because the Friday before Gen Con, you want to go to a game store.
Because you won't get any gaming in here
at all, and it seems to be going pretty well. A lot of people like it. My favorite way to describe it at this point is cute but stabby. Mm-hmm. So you are you're a tribe of bears, and each one is trying to be the best, get the most glory. And to do that, you are building up, you're rolling your dice to see what you get, and then you're putting it behind a screen, and it's a light work replacement. And there's
a little beat down on each other.
Yeah, you can brawl. You can have a bear brawl,
right,
and attack each other or defend against your attackers. And then you're trying to gather honey, and you're trying to gather your fate to change your stars, as it were, and getting ore, because that's what bears need.
Honey and ore.
Yeah.
Right. Honey, ore, hibernation. Those are the three things I think of when I think of bears.
There we go. And then using all of those things, you can buy better weapons, you can recruit new bears, and in the end, the first person to 7 glory is the winner. So it's cute. It's
2 to 4 players, if I recall.
2 to 4 players. Pretty quick game. It's kind of vicious, but in a fast, lighthearted. Nobody gets really mad because of all the bear puns. They might groan, but
right.
They bear it.
That's right. Grin and bear it, actually,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. And so that came out last week, so that's our...
And there will be a review of Barbearian Battlegrounds on the Game Gang probably in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, glad to hear that. Good to know.
I got to be honest, I've had a copy for a while, and I kind of held off because I like to do reviews when something's coming out as opposed to months beforehand, because then people forget. It's, the cult of the new, right?
Totally fair.
And I did not realize that came out last week. Sorry.
So anyway, stay tuned.
So another cool title, is it a Gen Con release, or is this just something you're demoing? And if I get it correctly, I believe it's Mr. Rhee Survives the Nightmare World.
Mr. Rhee Surviving the Nightmare World.
That's
because
okay.
It's ongoing but not definitive that he will actually survive it.
And this is based on your personal experiences, correct? Living in Chicago?
Yeah. Yes, it's all about living in Chicago.
I was born and raised there. I live in the suburbs outside it. I'm just teasing.
No, it's actually based on the comic.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a graphic novel.
So Mr. Rhee, the 4th book is coming out this fall. The comic series is it's horror. It's a horror based. Mr. Rhee is a everyman who is not so much defeating evil as
surviving it,
mitigating the damage of evil.
Okay.
So that's it was a really great one versus many kind of setup, where the one is the hero, the many are the villains.
And it's a multiplayer game where I believe one player plays the hero and everyone else are the villain.
Correct. So you got the one person who is just trying to keep the innocents out of the way as best they can, and maybe instigate fights among the villains to keep them distracted.
Sure.
The villains each have their own win condition. They're sending minions out to the different locations that have innocents to maybe recruit them for their own evil, nefarious purposes. Maybe they're destroying them. You never know. It depends on the villain that you have. Thelma Lishkin, she looks lovely. She's very pretty. She's also a stone-cold killer.
Like most of the women I've dated in my life.
Well, so really it's autobiographical for you? Is that what you're saying?
That's the stone-cold killer part.
Versus, Brian, who is recruiting for Cthulhu. So he wants acolytes. He doesn't want to kill you. He wants you to...
He wants cultists.
Right, he does.
Sure.
He's bringing the new religion, folks. So that's and of course the heroes are using their skill sets, which are charm, just trying to persuade people, listen, you don't want to kill today. Today is just a bad day. Stars aren't in alignment. Maybe the ice cream shop down the street has some people you want to kill instead. Just head out. Don't, not these guys. Or that some of them have magic, not all, and it's not super powerful, but maybe they're going to try a couple tricks. Or they might be fighting. They might try to throw a punch against something with claws and fangs and big bat wings.
Never a really good idea.
But give it a shot.
Bring it on, Nyarlathotep.
Right, and then the minions are all a variety from all of the graphic novels. So you have a wide variety of monsters, and you have a lot of the original artists who did the art for the comic book series, which is Dirk Manning, the writer, doing new art for the comics. So it's all unique art of the characters, and the same artists, but different art. So anybody who's a collector,
original art, right.
It's all unique art. And as you can see, this is not the final copy. Obviously, this is a prototype. But Kristen Perry, who did the art for the covers of the comic book series, did our cover art for the box art. So we got a lot of really good, talented people who worked on the project.
Should I take a guess? Maybe 2 to 5 players?
3 to 6.
3 to 6. Okay.
Yeah. You want at least 2 villains and 1 hero.
Right, obviously.
3, and up to 5 villains.
Okay. And this is coming out in the fall?
It is on Kickstarter in the second week of September.
Oh, okay. So it's coming to Kickstarter.
Coming to Kickstarter.
Something else we should talk about, a game series that I actually enjoyed quite a lot, and that is Folklore, the Affliction.
Yeah.
That is finally coming to retail.
Finally coming to retail. So we had our Kickstarter backers get their stuff, and now retailers will be able to sell it. But what we did was, because the box had a lot of the miniatures, but only partial miniatures, so you needed both the core and the expansion, and it was great when it was a Kickstarter, it was bundled. To make it more accessible for retail, we have standees, pulled all of that out.
Right.
You can buy the miniatures separately, and all of that will be available in retail, but it's packaged differently. We have some of the smaller bits and pieces were all incorporated so that it's much easier for retail to sell. Okay. And then we have a couple of things that weren't in the Kickstarter that retailers will have available when it comes out. So starting in September, the core will be in stores, and then they have things like eventually we'll have the adventure creation kit out, so you can build your own stories for the game, which if anybody doesn't know, it is
game masterless dungeon delvish sort of game, although you're not always dungeon diving.
No, you're not always dungeon diving.
Different locations.
A lot of story driven.
There's loads going on.
But we have an adventure creation kit coming out so that you can build your own story. So you are still basically, in effect, at that point, GMing or creating the story that will be.
But you can actually play. You don't have to actually run it, so everybody gets to enjoy the adventure.
But if you would like to, one of the retail exclusives is a GM screen that will allow you to be behind the screen and has all the tables.
Being tricky. So
that you can, if you want to be a GM, GM it.
Or if you just need to hide behind a screen whenever you play a game.
Well, some of us.
I could use it. So we've got that coming out. What else you got cooking that we can talk about? I know there's lots of stuff, irons and fires that you can't discuss. I know Helios expansion that's coming out next year.
Right, Helios Expanse kickstarted, a small Kickstarter, because we wanted to just make sure that there was interest in it. It funded.
Right.
So it's going to be in retail next year. We have copies that people are playing, but that won't be out until next year.
Right.
And in our next thing that will be out, or next thing for Kickstarter after Rhee, is Fire for Light. And so we have a really early look at that at the first exposure play hall here at Gen Con.
Oh, okay.
That's Walter and Ian, who made Barbarians and Champions of Horror, which is going to be out in retail next year.
Right.
It's their third game with us, and it's as different from Barbarians to Champions of Horror. Totally different game.
Right. Apples and oranges.
Completely, but it's it's more in our Grimslingers folklore tabletop light style of game. but it's a world past the apocalyptic to the point where it's now a new, almost medieval realm where people have forgotten that there was a previous world. And more like Barbarians, really adorable art, but terrifying because like all of the animals
It's a really grim and dark setting that has just this really happy-go-lucky art.
Well, like it's cute, so it's like a cute mutated rabbit or deer that will bite your face off.
I was going to say it's going to gnaw your arm off.
Yeah, cute but stabby, it's what we do. And the story itself is pretty fantastic. It's the main character, the primary character you have to play is a girl who you can't quite tell if she just has an affinity for technology or it's magic, but she can make things happen that other people don't understand. But it is that, like, is it technology or is she a wizard? Do you really know? And that's like, so she's the
natural or is it cover girl? I don't know.
It's not easy or breezy. That's all I know.
Yeah.
So you start off with her and her big sister is the tank, is the hunter who finds technology, who's found something, and so she's taking her to go see what this ancient artifact is, and from that it opens.
Gather, like, companions along the way, and
sure do. Okay. And then each of them has, so it's different classes basically, and so it is again RPG-like kind of feel. But what we're going to do with this one is we'll have the maps and the miniatures and the components, but we're going to have a lot of it on an app. So all of the storyline is going to be it's going to be done through an app.
App driven
and randomized, so that the monsters are randomized, the moments might be randomized, which makes it unique each time.
Okay.
And it lowers the footprint of the game while you're playing. But what we have, and the art is already almost completely done. It's stunning. It's more a matter of just finalizing. But even that, we can constantly add in new story moments and make it a surprise because we can just upload it to the app and change things up as we go.
Nice.
So that's something that I'm really excited about. Walter had been talking about it for months now, and of course I'm working on Rhee, so I'd heard about it, and I was like, okay, yes, you're really excited, awesome. And then I played it, and then I was like, oh, you made another great game.
Right. Thanks. More work.
Good for you.
Julie, any final thoughts or words you'd like to share with the audience?
Come by the booth. We're at 637. Oh,
they're not going to see this live.
Come on.
Gen Con will be over.
All right. Anything else coming out?
Booth, it's just going to be empty space. It's going to be an empty hall.
Don't come when it's an empty hall.
Don't come to the booth. They could go to the Greenbrier Games website.
They could go there, which is www.greenbriergames.com. Yeah.
Anything else that we haven't covered? I think we tackled the bases.
I think we got a lot of it. We're good.
Excellent. Well, as always, our annual interview, always have a good time. I didn't joke around as much as I usually do.
I know. You're early. I'm first. You weren't warmed up.
Right, that's true. Plus, I figured I didn't want to get smacked in the face like I did last year. So.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
All right, Julie, thanks so much, and have a great con.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.